host only. Yeah. You can start, Madhya.
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. Namaha Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nami. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatari Shatarini. So today we're continuing Madhya Lila, chapter 8, verses 136.
Yeah, you can share your screen, Madhya. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, text 136. The transcendental body of Sri Krishna is eternal and full of bliss and knowledge. He is the son of Nanda Maharaj. He is full of all opulences and potencies, as well as all spiritual mellows. 37. Krishna, who is Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. 138. In the spiritual realm of Vrindavan, Krishna is the spiritual essence of Cupid. He is worshipped by chanting of the Kama Gayatri mantra with the spiritual seed klim. 139. The very name Krishna means that he attracts even Cupid. He is therefore attractive to everyone, male and female, moving and inert living entities. Indeed, Krishna is known as the all-attractive one. 140. When Krishna left the Rasa Lila dance, the gopis became very morose. And when they were grieving, Krishna reappeared, dressed in yellow garments. Wearing a flower garland and smiling, he was attractive even to Cupid. In this way, Krishna appeared among the gopis. 141. Each and every devotee has a certain type of transcendental mellow in relation to Krishna. But in all transcendental relationships, the devotee is the worshipper, Ashraya, and Krishna is the object of the worship, Vishaya. 142. Let Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, be glorified by virtue of his expanding attractive features. He subjugated the gopis named Taraka and Pali and absorbed the minds of Shama and Lalita. He is the most attractive lover of Srimati Radharani and is the reservoir of pleasure for devotees in all transcendental mellows. 148. Krishna is all attractive for devotees in all mellows because he is the personification of conjugal mellow. Krishna is attractive not only to all the devotees, but to himself as well. 144. My dear friends, just see how Krishna is enjoying the season of spring, with the gopis embracing each of his ones. He is like Amara's love personified. With his transcendental pastimes, he enlives all the gopis and the entire creation. With his soft bluish black arms and legs, which resemble blue lotus flowers, he has created a festival for Cupid. 145. He also attracts Narayan, who is the incarnation of Sankarshan and the husband of the goddess of fortune. He attracts not only Narayan, but also women, headed by the goddess of fortune, the consort of Narayan. 146. Addressing Krishna and Arjuna, Lord Mahavishnu, the Mahapurusha, said, I wanted to see both of you, and therefore I have brought the sons of the Brahmana here. Both of you have appeared in the material world to re-establish religious principles, and you have both appeared here with all your potencies. After killing all the demons, please quickly return to the spiritual world. 147. O Lord, we do not know how the serpent Kalya attained such an opportunity to be touched by the dust of your lotus feet. For this end, the goddess of fortune performed austerities for centuries, giving up all other desires and observing austere vows. Indeed, we do not know how this serpent Kalya got such an opportunity. 148. Lord Krishna's sweetness is so attractive that it steals away his own mind. Thus, he wants to embrace himself. 149. Upon seeing his own reflection is the bejeweled pillar of his Dwarka palace, Krishna desired to embrace it, saying, "Alas, I've never seen such a person before. Who is he? Just by seeing him, I have become eager to embrace him, exactly like Srimati Radharani." 150. Sri Ramana Rai then said, "I have thus briefly explained the original form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now let me describe the position of Srimati Radharani." 151. Krishna has unlimited potencies, which can be divided into three main parts. They are the spiritual potency, the material potency, and the marginal potency, which is known as the living entities. 152. In other words, they are all potencies of God, internal, external, and marginal. But the internal potency is the Lord's personal energy and stands over the two. 153. The original potency of Lord Vishnu is superior or spiritual, and the living entity actually belongs to that superior energy. But there is another energy called the material energy, and the third energy is full of ignorance. Originally, Lord Krishna is Satchinanda Vigraha, the transcendental form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. Therefore, his personal potency, the internal potency, has three different forms. Text 155. Lalini is his aspect of bliss, Sandini of external existence, and Samvit of cognizance, which is also accepted as knowledge. 156. My dear Lord, you are the transcendental reservoir of all transcendental qualities. Your pleasure potency, existent potency, and knowledge potency are actually all one internal spiritual potency. The conditioned soul, although actually spiritual, sometimes experiences pleasure, sometimes pain, and sometimes a mixture of pain and pleasure. This is due to his being touched by matter. Because you are above all material qualities, these are not found in you. Your superior spiritual potency is completely transcendental, and for you there is no such thing as relative pleasure. Pleasure mixed with pain, or pain itself. 157. The potency called Hadini gives Krishna transcendental pleasure. Through this pleasure potency, Krishna personally takes all spiritual pleasure. 158. Lord Krishna tastes all kinds of transcendental happiness, although he himself is happiness personified. The pleasure relished by his pure devotees is also manifested by his pleasure potency. 159. The most essential part of this pleasure potency is love of Godhead, prema. Consequently, the explanation of the love of Godhead is also a transcendental mellow full of pleasure. 160. The essential part of love of Godhead is called Mahabhava, transcendental ecstasy, and that ecstasy is represented by Srimati Radharani. 161. Among the gopis of Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani and another gopi are considered chief, but when we compare the gopis, it appears that Srimati Radharani is most important because her real feature expresses the highest ecstasy of love. The ecstasy of love experienced by the other gopis cannot be compared to that of Srimati Radharani. 162. The body of Srimati Radharani is a veritable transformation of love of Godhead. She is the dearmost friend of Krishna, and this is known throughout the world. I'll stop here, brother.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madhya. Yeah. Oh, did I start the recording? I think it's recording, right? Good. Okay. Yeah, you can make me the host again, Madhya. So we'll go through that. And I have to give it back to Himanshu Prabhu later. So we'll start with a brief prayer. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Budare Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Picharane Visheshune Paschadestarni. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Okay. So
How
we
do
were discussing.
how do I
Yeah.
make you host, Prabhu?
In the participants, you can
Uh,
select my name, and next to my name, you can click on the host.
Click on it.
Next to my name, you see.
Yeah.
Uh, Next to my name, there are three dots. You can click on the three dots.
Oh, yeah, make host. Got
Uh,
it. Got it.
Okay. So let me share my screen again. Then let me go to that. Where is that? Okay, I got the link from the messages. 136. Right.
Yes, for 130.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, just to go before we go here. So if you remember, the overall context was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was discussing with Sri Ramananda Rai, who is a very, very exalted devotee and a very close associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This was happening on the bank of the Godavari River. So he started with their discussion started with what is the highest perfection of life, like that. What is the highest perfection of life? So then they went through different things, and they came all the way till uh, Gopi's love for Krishna is the highest perfection, like that. And then he described about Radharani's greatness also. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after hearing all that, he wanted to hear more. What was he wanting to hear more? He wanted to hear more about Krishna Tattva, and also, let me see if I can find verse here early. No, it's not so easy. Krishna Tattva, and then Radharani Tattva. He wanted to understand those in detail. So now Ramananda Rai started explaining in just a couple of verses ago. He started explaining. See, here it says Krishna Tattva. He started explaining Krishna Tattva. So we'll focus on the Krishna Tattva more today, and then we go to the Radharani Tattva probably in the tomorrow session. So he is describing what is the Krishna Tattva. Tattva means what? Tattva means truth. That means the original truths about Krishna. Is Krishna Tattva means. So that's the conclusive truths basically. So he started telling that how in 134 verse he said Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and he's the original Godhead. That means he's the source of all the other incarnations like Mahavishnu, Narayana, every incarnation we see, he's the source of all of them, including Lord Balaram also. And he's the cause of all causes, like that did explain. There are only two verses that have big commentary, purport in this section. The rest of them don't have purports, so we'll go through them. And then he says, Krishna is a supreme resting place for what? For all the Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual world, and for all the different incarnations that are there, that came from him, and then all the different material universes that are there, is a resting place for all of them, like that. What does this resting place mean? In Bhagavad Gita, you might remember, in Bhagavad Gita, this similar word is used. In one sense, it means everything is inside him. That is one way, one meaning of this. And their meaning is everything is dependent on him. That means nothing is independent of him. Everything has its source on him. Everything depends on him, like that. That's the other meaning of this one. Now going to 136 verse. So it says Krishna's body is Sachidananda Vigraha. That means his body is eternal, full of bliss, and also full of knowledge. So this is opposite to our body currently. Our body is material body. Material body means our body is not eternal. After some time, it has to go through death, and then it's not full of bliss. It gives misery. It gives some problem or the other, with some diseases, especially as we grow old. And then is not full of knowledge, because it causes ignorance for us. This conditioning with the body. Whereas as spirit soul, we are full of knowledge. We are full of bliss and eternal also. As a soul, we are also eternal. Sachidananda Vigraha. But Krishna, not only is Sachidananda Vigraha, and he doesn't have any external body like us, material body like us. That's why I say transcendental body of Krishna is also Sachidananda Vigraha. That's an important distinction made. In our next purport, in a couple of verses later, let me see. Yeah, next verse only. Yeah, in 130th verse purport, Prabhupada elaborates that point. We'll discuss more. And then it says, he's the Rajendra Nandana. He's the son of Nanda Maharaj. That means Rajendra means Indra of Raja. That means king of Raja. That Nandana means son of that king of Raja, like that. Rajendra Nandana. And he says he's also full of all opulences and potencies. That's how it's described. And as well as also all the spiritual mellows, like that. Spiritual mellows means rasas. Is a yeah, it is described as Sarva Aishwarya, that means all of full of all appliances, Sarva Shakti, and then Sarva Rasa Purna. That means full. Purna means full. Is full of all rasas, Shaktis, and also Aishwaryas, opulences, like that. That means everything is coming from him. Then 131 verse says Krishna. This is the Brahma Samhita verse. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That is the verse is talking about. Krishna is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. And then mm, he has an eternal blissful spiritual body. The same point, Sachidananda body. And then he is the origin of all. He has no other origin. Remember, if somebody has an origin, then that means he's not the absolute truth. Absolute truth is somebody who doesn't have any other origin. He is the source of everything, like that. And then he's the prime cause of all causes. That means Sarva Karana Karana. Everything is originated from him. Some people misunderstand this statement. He is the prime cause of all causes. So they'll say, okay, I'm hitting somebody. That means, but Krishna is the supreme cause of all causes. That means I hit somebody, that the cause is Krishna. It's not me. I'm not in trouble, like that. So that's a misunderstanding. Basically, the right understanding of prime cause of all causes means all the energies we see, all the material elements we see, all the people we see, all of us, everyone is caused by Krishna. And then, in fact, even if you're doing good thing or bad thing, the Krishna needs to sanction it also. In that sense, is the cause of all causes. But he reciprocates based on what we desire and what we deserve for something to happen. So just because Krishna is the cause of all causes, just because Krishna is supreme controller, just because Krishna knows the future, that doesn't take away our free will. Our free will still Krishna gives us so that we can act on it. So even though he gives a free will, that means we have choice to go left or right, like that, right? But still Krishna is supreme Lord. He knows whether we'll take left or right also. That doesn't mean that he's forcing us to take left or right. He knows it. That's all. That's another source of confusion for some people. Now, text 138. These two verses have big purport, so we'll discuss a little bit more. Remember, this is talking about all the tattvas related to Krishna. This verse is saying, in the spiritual realm of Vrindavana, Krishna is spiritual. That means he doesn't have material body and is ever fresh Cupid. That is a Prabhupada explains in the purport we'll discuss. And then is worshipped by chanting of the Kama Gayatri mantra and also Kama Bija mantra, I think it's called. Let me see. Yeah, Kama Bija mantra. There is a spiritual seed, clean mantra, like that. So this is a mantra that is chanted by those who take Gayatri, Brahman initiation in ISKCON, for example. They chant this mantra along with other mantras also. We're not meant to discuss so much about Gayatri mantra in an open forum like this. Speech master describes the Gayatri mantra to the disciples in a private forum usually. But this verse does describe some aspects of that. So we'll discuss those, what Prabhupada is discussing in the purport. So one point is Prabhupada is appreciating how spiritual world, within spiritual world, how spiritual world is so wonderful. He quotes the verse from Brahma Samhita to describe the Vrindavan. How is it described in Vrindavan in Brahma Samhita? Let me open it so you can also see it. 138, right? Oh, where did I jump here? Looks like. Yeah, 138. He's quoting these two verses from Brahma Samhita. Sriya Kanta Kanta Paramapurusha Kalpataravo Brahma Bhumis Chintamani Ganamayi Toyam Amritam Katha Ganam Natyam Gamanam Api Vamsi Priyasaki Chidanandam Jyoti Paramapi Tadasvadyam Api Cha Sayatra Kshiradvi Sravati Surabhibhyascha Sumahan Nimeshardakhyo va Vrajati Nahi Atrapi Samayaha Vaje Svetadipam Tamaham Iha Golokam Itiyam Vidantaste Santakshiti Virala Chara Katipaye. So these verses is quoting. This is beautiful. That's why we'll spend time because this is describing about Golak Vrindavan in spiritual world, and we're all aspiring to go there ideally. So that's why it's good to spend time to what Prabhupada is taking time. So we'll go to that. So basically, he's saying Vrindavan itself is spiritual. That means not material. Not material means what? That means it doesn't have a it doesn't get created and then it gets annihilated. Not like that. It's always existing like that, eternally existing like that. That is one point here. Second point, what does it mean by always spiritual means? It means there's no material modes active, no good mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance is not active there, like that. And then what is active then? Only the internal energy is active, not the external energy in the spiritual world. And the next point he makes is Lakshmi Devis, Gopis are always present there in the spiritual world, and they're expressions of Krishna only. So now, uh, and not only Krishna is spiritual, but even Krishna's beloved associates, gopis, they are also gopis, gopas, they are all spiritual, like that is saying. And Krishna is the supreme person and is the husband of all gopis and goddess of fortune. And the trees in Vrindavan are kalpavruksha. That means they are wish fulfilling trees. That means if we wish something, we can get it. Not just only fruits like that. Anything we can get. It's not like in material world, if you go to mango tree only, we can get mangoes. In the spiritual world, any tree can give anything, basically. It can give fruits, it can give flowers like that. And then it's described land is made of touchstone, it seems. Normally, touchstone is what? So precious, considered so precious. If you touch something, it will become gold like that, right? And then water is nectar, it seems. So they drink nectar as if like how we drink water so commonly every day. They drink nectar like that, spiritual world. And then we commonly hear this, how every word is a song, every every step is a dance like that we hear, right? That's what Prabhupada is paraphrasing here. Words are musical vibrations and all movements are dancing. That means they are so joyful. That's what it is showing. All these things are showing us that they show. Whenever we are joyful, we like to sing, right? We like to sing, we like to dance when joyful, like that. That's what they're showing here. And the flute is always with Krishna in Golak Vrindavan. That's what is described here. And then Golak Vrindavan planet itself, like how we know Krishna is self-luminous, Krishna, from Krishna's body, effulgence comes. That is called Brahmajyoti. Similarly, Vaikuntha planets, Golak Vrindavan planet is also self-luminous. That means it gives you light, like the sun, how it gives light like that. And planet itself is full of spiritual bliss, it seems. And our perfection lies in tasting that highest pleasure in the spiritual existence, in spiritual world. That's why we should cultivate knowledge of the spiritual world, Prabhupada's writing. And then in Vrindavan, another special thing about spiritual cows is describing is that they're always supplying spiritual milk, it seems. And there's no time wasted. There's no past, present, or future. Of course, this is very, very hard for us to understand that point. It is an inconceivable topic Acharya has described. Apparently, there's nothing like past, present, and future, it seems, in the spiritual world. And then, um, devotees worship this spiritual planet Golok Vrindavan. And similarly, how Brahma also said, "Let me worship that Golok Vrindavan," like that. So we cannot get appreciation for transcendental Vrindavan unless we are devotees. Prabhupada is writing. And not only Krishna is spiritual, not only Krishna's associates are spiritual, not only cows are spiritual, not only Vrindavan, Golok Vrindavan planet is spiritual, but also the pastimes of the Lord also are spiritual. That's what is being discussed here. So now, going to next verse. So is this prayer that when will, so the conclusion of this prayer I'll mention. there are a couple of conclusions Prabhupada is making in the purport after this paragraph. One is the sex pleasure that is there in the material world is far different from the sex pleasure that is there in a spiritual world. It, sex pleasure in the material world has a beginning and has an end, whereas in spiritual world there is no end like that is described. Number one. Number two, they don't have material bodies like us. They have spiritual bodies. So that's the other point Prabhupada makes. So then Prabhupada, let me refer to here 138th verse, right? Yeah. There are a couple of other points Prabhupada makes here. One is that Prabhupada writes the importance of chanting Gayatri Mantra, which is by chanting Gayatri Mantra, it delivers us from material clutches, like that Prabhupada writes. Of course, to chant Gayatri Mantra, like we discussed, we need to be given by spiritual master, and also for it to be very effective, we need to develop the right qualities also. And then Prabhupada writes there's no difference between the Kama Gayatri and Krishna also. And then Prabhupada goes to describe how from when Krishna played the flute in the beginning of creation, through that flute sound, Brahma, he gave the Gayatri Mantra to Brahma, and through that Brahma realized all the Vedic knowledge like that. We can also remember first verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, right? Tene Brahma Hrudaya Adi Kavaye, like that is there. That purpose paraphrasing here like that. That's so Krishna initiated him like that with Gayatri Mantra, like that Prabhupada writes in the purport. So there's one more verse that talks about Krishna Tattva, but it's a longer purport. What we'll do is we'll pause here because there's a Bhagavad Gita class that will start in 1-2 minutes. So instead of starting a long verse with long purport, we'll pause here. We'll continue with 139 verse tomorrow. Yeah. So that's where we'll continue tomorrow. We'll pause here. Sri Chaitanya Chaitamta ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Let's offer obeisance to all the devotees. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kupasandubhyevacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you,
Hare
devotees.
Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna, everyone.